Welcome to episode 29 of the Slabbed podcast, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Professor Roke, how you doing, man? Happy evening.
Happy evening. Very excited to be chatting with you again. We've got a few cool things happening right now, so I'm excited to get into some of it. How's your week been so far?
Actually insane. It's only Tuesday, but I'm ready for it to be Friday, and I'm ready for the National to be here. And it's been crazy, man. I know we both work full time, so all that juggling, all that nonsense, and us being able to come here every week and still keep doing it's pretty awesome. I look forward to it every week and decompressing.
Yeah, me too. It feels like a good space for us to talk about thoughts.
Yeah,
that you don't normally get, and there's someone to definitely has to listen to me every week.
Yep. Yeah, I was thinking this week, I was like, man, I talk to Professor Oak once a week for an hour. It's like more than I talk to the best man for my wedding, the other groomsmen from my wedding. I'm like, I don't talk to them for an hour every week. Like, it's even my dad. I don't get to talk to my dad that frequently unless I'm over at his house or something, but it's not every week. So, yeah, crazy, man. I definitely, glad we're sticking to it. Episode 29. It's crazy.
29. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. So I appreciate all the love and support from everybody watching still. We thoroughly enjoy it. But let's jump into the spicy topic from last week. So Fat Belly Collects. Shout out to you.
He's awesome.
He does have a YouTube channel. We'll link it down below in the description. If you guys go check it out if you would like. I don't know if he's won it before, but shout out to him. He said that people say collect the card, not the grade, but then go and collect PSA 10s. If you're buying the card as a collector, wouldn't you want to add a few dope cards of 9s or even some 8s for the same price of 110? I'll let you unpack that. PSA 10 Pikachu, man.
I am, but that's one avenue, right? That's just one part of it, and like it's kind of part of the fun. Like the 10s is fun, like owning a 10, and I think that's why CGC is playing that way a little bit. Like it's nice to own a PSA 10 and know that the card that I love and the card that I want and the completionism that I'm trying to fulfill is like together with the same grade. Like it just feels good for the OCD. It feels good for the analytical, the collecting, the hoarding, whatever it is, whatever bubble that you fancy, whatever tickle that you're playing with. I mean, it just is what it is. What is interesting is that I have bought way less 10s lately. Way. This year I've bought very few 10s. And much more 9s and raw cards. And it was fun. And, you and I were just joking before we hit record, but like I've got a 9 and a bunch of raw cards behind me. I don't have a 10 near me right now. And I was always the guy that like wanted the 10 Pikachus. That was my main focus. And it's funny how my focus has broadened to like so many other things and doing other things. I couldn't agree more. Like there's so many cards. In fact, a really good example, just today, after work, I was taking care of the kids, feeding the kids, whatever. I took 5 minutes to myself. I grabbed my phone. I was looking at a card that I was trying to find. And I found it in raw condition. It just sold for like $13 in a 9.
Yeah.
Raw condition. It sold for like a couple of bucks. 9 was like 13 and a 10 was like 200. For this card, it was low pop. There was a bunch of 9s, but it was just such a drastic difference. And I was like, $200. I feel like I could buy 7, 8, 10 card like slabs of the same card or multiple cards or whatever, and like still feel good about owning that card. Like I feel like I've really relaxed my judgment on that stuff. Like I feel a lot less strict about having to have a 10 because I've just appreciated so many artworks lately. I'm really digging a lot of artwork. I got 4 binders that I'm building out. I have a whole pile of stuff. Literally, like, this is all stuff that like people sent me and things, just raw cards getting ready to throw into binders and get organized. And I'm like more excited about that. And I haven't looked for a PSA 10 Pikachu, I don't think, this month. I don't think even July. I don't think I've even looked at one because I got a bunch still. Just, yeah, my focus has shifted. And I think Fat Belly Collects, you're an awesome dude. Honestly, I think you're fantastic. I'm looking forward to more content from you. But I also remember when you were Fat Belly Gengar. You changed your name. Never forget. And yeah, this is a really good point because there's some really nice cards, not even graded. I mean, and they could probably be an 8 or a 9. And there's some 8s and 9s that you can get below grading price. Mm-hmm. So, like, why take the risk on it maybe hitting, unless you really know it looks like a 10, on it hitting 8 or 9, when you could just buy it cheaper than the raw, the grading, the shipping, all that kind of stuff. Like, just buy some cheap slabs. Like, you don't have to get crazy with it. Just enjoy it, have fun. I've bought expensive slabs. Nothing like you've bought, Josh. Like, you got some crazy stuff, but like I bought some expensive stuff that was expensive for me, like as a collector. And when you're buying in volume, you really want to spend as little as possible when you're trying to buy so many things. So I've definitely been a volume buyer, more focused, but I resonate a lot with that comment. I think it's a good one. I think it's, honestly, I know it's a spicy topic, but I feel like it's pretty sound advice too. I feel like it's pretty cool advice for the collector, that is. Well, I'm being very specific on who I'm targeting that advice to, but for the collector, I think it's very sound advice. What's your thoughts? I know I talked a lot there about it, but I feel really passionate about that right now. I really align with that comment a lot. So I'm really curious on what stage you're at and if you've opened up a little bit more to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like I've never bought a PSA 10 in my life. No, I'm joking completely. So he had said people say collect the card, not the grade, but then go collect PSA 10s. Well, I'd say on average, if you're going to collect the card, not the grade, but generally when people are saying that, they're saying, okay, if you're going to buy a card, you want to buy the best condition possible for that grade. Yeah. So if I'm going to buy a PSA 10, I want a good 10. I don't want a bad 10. It goes for 9s or 8s. I want a good 9. If I'm going to get a 9, I want a good one. So
good point.
Completely agree there. Yeah, so I don't think it's all just about 10s for that statement. Like I said, it could be 9s, could be 8s. I want a good 8. If I'm going for this really expensive first edition base set Charizard in a PSA 8, I want a good 8. I don't want a good 8. For me is different maybe for other people. I don't want a whole bunch of whitening. I'd rather have a binder ding. The thing would look way nicer in the slab. Stuff like that. So totally agree there. And he said, if you're buying the card as a collector, wouldn't you want to add a few dope cards of 9s or even some 8s for the same price of 110? Yes. Mm-hmm. So for me, Zapdos cards, I've always chased 10s. But that and Diglett. Those are the only two things I've ever chased 10s on. Everything else that I've collected, my entire Yu-Gi-Oh collection basically, and my I had a first edition base set. I was doing just 9s because 10s are out of reach. But Yu-Gi-Oh for sure. Yu-Gi-Oh is extremely affordable, even in 10s compared to Pokemon. But there's cards. Like, I collected the entire tournament pack series in PSA 9 because the price point is so much cheaper. There was a card that was pop 5 in that set in a PSA 10. It's like people are asking $20,000+ because there's 5 of them. So I went with a 9 and it's sub $1,000. So I had like cheap. It was cheap for me. Like, I bought it. I'm like, Jesus, this card is still, it's like pop 30 and it's like sub $1,000.
Huge disparity.
Huge effing range. So I for sure, like, Yu-Gi-Oh is like where I'm collecting, and I just bought this card. Like, people want $2,000 for this in a 10 because it's like pop 11. It's like a championship card. Sweet. From like a tournament pack you get from playing the game at tournaments. This was $100. I just snap bought it. The dude had a listed buy it now. I'm like, yep, pop 17 or something. nines are the way to go. If you're collecting, like, F the 10s, bro, seriously, all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards are pretty much nines except for a couple random ones that I just thought were a pretty good deal. But pretty much 95% of my Yu-Gi-Oh collections nines. 10s are flex culture primarily, like you're investing, but I don't know. It depends how you want to look at it. Like some people are just straight collecting. Like you look at Pokemon Classics, the dude is not flipping those cards that he has in his collections, the PSA 10 Charizards and the PSA 10 first edition base, the WotC sets he has. Some people are just hodling down. So he got in at a much different price point than I had the opportunity. So there's a benefit there. Yeah, I don't know. I completely agree. It's for me, I am right on board with you. Just for some reason, I like Zapdos in my big shiny 10 round numbers besides 9. So you got to have some chase, you know.
I think it's okay to have. I think it's good. I think it's healthy to have that chase of seeking the best of something. I just don't think that should be your only focus for everything. Everything has to be in a 10. Everything has to be Black Label. Everything has, like, it's. You just said some really good examples there of that huge price difference. Especially, I mean, we could talk about sports cards too. Like, I'm not a master on sports cards. I follow it. I watch a lot of the sports card guys. You know, I could shout those out, but you know, we've got Dakota and Carlos and Bubbles, and you know, I'm Neo. Like, I'm watching these people and they're talking about cards, and like they're tracking. Sometimes they'll show data, and there's a 10 and there's a 9, and like the chart is like it's like completely different price tracking. Like it's all over the place, and I just don't think they care that much about 8s and 9s. And that makes me think a little bit like this spicy topic. Like, there's a lot to unpack here because I think there's also maybe a bit of a stigma about each type of collector too. Like, I feel like there's a bit of a stigma about 10 collectors, a bit of a stigma about 9s, and then even 8s. Like, some people would say, like, who collects 8s? Like, why would you collect an 8? But like, I got some 5s that I'm like I would never sell. Like, they're not worth anything, but like I literally would never sell because they like mean something to me. It's not so much about the grade; they just happen to have that grade. But 9 collectors, I think, for some people have been almost like a stigma of like, why not just collect raw? Almost like what's the point? Like, I've heard people like say those kind of thoughts. Like, it's not the best. It's like a 9, it's 8 or whatever. But I don't see that difference as much. The reason I collected 10s, and I'm sure I fit into a stigma there. People probably viewed me as like, oh, he only collects 10 Pikachus. Honestly, I just liked the consistency. I got some 10 Pikachus really cheap, and I was like, well, this is cool. Like, I should just carry that on and like have that and like try and get in the set registry. And there's a bit of a fun competition within myself, really. I don't think I never really showed me, like, I talked about being a set registry. I've talked about my rankings and stuff, and and even how I declined from more people adding their collections. But I never like really showed that stuff and said, look what I've got, look what it's worth, look at, you know, these kind of things. I just kind of showed artworks and, you know, showed returns, and I just enjoyed it, you know, and I hit 10s, sometimes hit 9s, whatever. It's fun. Like, it's fun. And do you feel like there's a little bit of stigma around like different types of collectors and slabs?
Yeah, 100%. I like being, I don't know, I love being both. I love being like the guy that collects the 10s. And I also love being the guy that totally sees value in getting the 9s. I'm not kind of just stuck in, it would suck to be the guy now chasing like 10 sets of 10s of anything. Would effing blow right now. That'd be some expensive ass stuff you're doing. But yeah, I don't know. I do and I don't see people, like, when I look at somebody and I see him collecting a whole bunch of 10s, I obviously have, like, that, damn, that dude's rich. He's doing all right. But I don't know. I don't see people like, when I look at somebody and I see him collecting a whole bunch of 10s, I obviously, like, that, damn, that dude's rich. He's doing all right. 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 He's do And then 9s are usually like 9. If a guy is just collecting 9s, he's a smart collector. He knows what he wants and he's happy with getting the cards. And maybe that's all he can afford. Who cares? Like, dude's happy. It's all that matters.
I bought this 9 recently.
She-Hulk?
And it was really cheap. I mean, it was like cheap. And I felt like the price didn't matter. Like, it could have been $5 or $500, whatever. Like, but I got the card, and it's a pretty special looking card. You can't see it back there, but the hollow pattern. It's like that. Call it like crosshatch or something. It's got like a crazy hollow pattern. It's like purple and like greens and all these different colors in it. It's just, I mean, it just visually looks fantastic, and it's immaculate. I mean, it's a 10. I literally don't understand how it got a 9. It makes zero sense when I look at it. I've scanned it, and it's a 10. It's fantastic. So I'm at the point now where I'm like, I feel really good about it, and that in a 10 is probably like $100. And I paid a tenth of that, basically. Like, I paid hardly anything of that, and I feel really good about it. So I hope some people will. I hope that anyone listening that like feels pressure to own 10s or feels like anyone's going to look at you. Look, no one is walking into this office looking at my Slabbed and say, "Oh my God, that's only a 9." Ain't happening. No one's walking into your house and judging you on what's your collection. Like, no one is checking on your registry and sending you an email saying you don't have enough 10s in there. No one gives a F. They're worried about what they're collecting. Just collect the cards. Like, it's fun. If you want to complete 10 sets, do it. Take your time. Don't get crazy. Be smart with it. If you want to do 9s, do it. If you want to do roll binders, do it. Like, whatever. Don't feel any pressure there. But that's a really good comment there from Fat Belly Collects, Fat Belly Gengar, because there is a little bit of also, like, I think pressure from YouTubers and pressure from people in Discords and Instagram of just buy the card, don't buy the grade, and then they're buying and grading 10 stuff, like real high level fancy stuff. So take that advice with a pinch of salt. Yeah, I don't know. That was a good comment. I'm glad that one.
And there's a benefit there. If you're buying PSA slabs, you might as well buy PSA 5s if you're just going to display them in the back, because you don't see the grade until it gets right about there.
I mean, even there, like, it still looks like a 10. Yeah.
So that's one of the benefits of BGS and these guys, the video games and CGC slabs. You could see the grades across the room now. Whereas PSA, you almost need a microscope, but yeah. Good comment.
Good one. Yeah, I don't want to start pulling out cards, but I could. It's so easy. So easy to jump into that. Do you have a spicy topic for next week?
Yeah, next week, spicy topic. Those of you, please leave a spicy topic down below. Love reading them all the time. It's awesome. Definitely. I think Z&G almost won with like a meme comment this week. Like, I don't know, everything he touches turns to gold, apparently. Literally, I think he was like about to win with literally just a troll or meme or something. But my spicy topic is the National Sports Car Convention will be the best Pokemon convention in the next 3 years for buying and selling Pokemon cards.
Ooh, that's a big one. Okay, my spicy topic is I don't think there's going to be more than 3 grading companies by the end of the year.
Okay, everyone go read down below, drop a like on some of the comments you like, and let's see what happens. Now, new segment starting right now. British man is going to define a sports word. He did not do a great job last week, and it's not going to probably be an every week thing, but I wanted to do it because it was after.
You were educating me. Don't judge.
Yeah.
I was educated.
No judgment.
What are you planning right now?
I'm just gonna give you a word. I just want to hear what you think it is, and we'll go from there.
Oh, God.
So I'm gonna stick with the game of baseball. You didn't understand what 3-for-3 meant in baseball last week.
Okay.
I really hope you know what it is. If you do, then that's awesome. But do you know what a bunt is in baseball?
That's like an American cake, isn't it? I thought that was like an American cake thing.
You're joking. You're lying.
Like one of those things that
A bunt cake?
you take to like a birthday party or something. What's a bunt? Is it where oh God. Is it where you like hit it down instead of trying to hit it really hard? Like you just tap it.
Yep, pretty much.
It is.
Yep. Yep.
Yes!
Nailed it. 10 out of 10.
America! Fuck yeah! All right, we got it.
Yeah, so basically, all you get instead of swinging the baseball bat, they stick it out, knock the ball down into play, and then
and then you run as fast as you can, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think
Yep.
I think it's foggy, but it was there.
Well done. Stay tuned till next week.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll do that next week because I think that's a good one. Don't make it too difficult though. There's a lot I don't know.
Next time it'll be American football. That's got to be easier for you, right?
Oh yeah, hand egg. Yeah, definitely.
Some rugby, cricket.
Rugby. I'm not that great with rugby. I played it, and all I wanted to do was I just wanted to get off the field. I was too tall. I was going to get snapped. Yeah. You know, I was 6 foot before I was 13. Like I was not a rugby guy. I wasn't set for it. So soccer. Yeah, I was goalkeeper. I played goal and on the soccer pitch pretty much my whole life. I even played for a Florida team for a little bit. I was pretty big into soccer. So yeah, fun.
But like oak, nice.
Yeah, I couldn't kick it. That's why I was in goal.
Just throw the ball. Is your lanky ass in the net?
Yeah, I just took the hits. That's all it was. It was fun though.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about in honor of the National coming up and also Gen Con, I think like the first week of August or something like that. Just wanted to talk about some of the major conventions going around and kind of the benefits that we see as collectors, buyers, somewhat sellers of the three. Of the three we have listed, the National, Collecticon, and Gen Con. Have you been to any of them besides Collecticon or?
Collecticon, and I went to TCG Con. That was where I met Chris. Weeders Warehouse, Pool Father, Tennis Wolf, and Jim Hero. I'm trying to think if there was someone else. I feel like there's someone else I met too. There's a lot of cool people there. What was cool about TCG Con was there were like hundreds of tables and people were actively playing tournaments in the same room as the sales and as the stalls, and you know everyone was set up and buying and everything. So that was fun. Like you're in an atmosphere of like the sales and all, surrounded by all these different like IPs and things happening, but then you could watch people playing tournaments as you were buying and making deals and trades and all the rest of it. So that was fun. And then obviously Collecticon, Orlando, the last two I've been there. I'll be there again this year for sure. Trying to get to some others, trying to plan that. It's a little bit tricky with the baby and stuff, you know, and the kids and everything. But yeah, not much. I know you've done a few different things. You've even been to like a couple of little local ones and stuff too. What's your take on the differences between them? Like what's good, bad, ugly, worth it, not worth it? What's your thoughts? Because for me, I have a pretty low data set to like give opinion.
Yeah.
Honestly, TCG Con was really fun as a buyer, but Collecticon was more fun as a seller for me. I mean, I'm probably biased because I was selling with you and you know the rest of the cool guys in our section, but I really enjoyed it as a seller and I enjoyed the buy-in way more at TCGCon than CollectorCon. It was less crazy. It felt more down to earth, a bit more wholesome. So, what's your takes?
Yeah, so for Gen Con, it sounds similar to TCGCon a little bit. That is a convention in Indianapolis, Indiana, where they do, it's like a gaming convention. You have like Magic the Gathering, you have Lorcana. They'll have Lorcana's going to have their own section. They're going to be having a small tournament. They're going to be giving out decks.
So they'll be playing.
Yep, people will be playing there. There used to be Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Shonen Jump championships there every Gen Con, but that has gone away. I know they still do tournaments and stuff. It's a rager, but then you do have people vending and selling and stuff there. So I've never gone to. Yeah, it's one of the biggest nerd conventions of the year, for sure. It's like it's why Lorcana's going there to like debut their game. It's the show for gaming, different stuff like that. So I remember back in the day, Wizards of the Coast, Upper Deck with the World of Warcraft trading card game. They were there also at Gen Con, debuting the game and a bunch of different stuff. So it is a huge place for just getting free samples of stuff, like new stuff coming around, new games, new board games, new deck building games, stuff like that. It is the place to be for that type of stuff. There is a huge following for active game, board games, deck building games, stuff like that. It's crazy. So Gen Con is pretty awesome. I have not experienced Gen Con going as a buyer looking at vendors and stuff like that. So I can't really shed too much light on there, but it is a nice central location, probably one of the best ones in Indianapolis for the United States. Right there in like the heart, honestly. Like it was always one of the biggest turnout spots for most tournaments back in the day, just because of where it was located. So that's pretty awesome. The Collecticons, like you said, as a collector, I love them. I love going there as a buyer and as a seller. I do it. I've almost flip-flopped it every single time. I think I've gone to like 6 of them, and I've bought at 3 and sold at 3, I think. The next one I'm selling at. So it is a great time. It's not a good time if you're just going to trade cards and
listen to the music.
Listen to the music. It's not the best time. You're not going for the show per se. Like it's a thing. Like it could be if you're really up on the Yin Yang Twins, then get up there and start doing it, dude. But that ain't me. So
you got to be okay with busy crowds and like a lot of people.
FlexCon gets really nuts, and I have never been to a national, so I can't speak on it too much this week. But next week when I come, I'll be coming fresh off of the national. I'll be able to talk about it, how much Pokemon and stuff I've seen there. It'll be really interesting to see, because everything I've heard so far, it sounds like 5% Pokemon or less, and the rest is pretty much sports, memorabilia, and stuff like that. So I'd like to see 10%. That'd be cool. I'd like to see that number creeping up a little bit. Kind of playing into my spicy topic. I feel like it will, based on all the different things I've been seeing. So really excited to get there and check that out. But I feel like the national is going to be bigger than CollectCon. So eventually, for sure, for Pokemon, I don't see a way around it.
It's always in one spot, right?
No, apparently it's going to be in Cleveland, I think, next year. Somebody had mentioned it. I forget who.
I didn't phrase that right. Each year, it'll only be in one. Like they don't do it
one show
2, 3, 4 times a year. Like it's always like one place a year that they do it. We Collect On like kind of spreads it out a little bit.
Exactly. So there's so much hype going into this event. It starts tomorrow. Today they might have had some media and press in there, but the show starts tomorrow, I believe. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 5-day effing show. That's a lot. That's a lot. Could you imagine going to a 5-day show as a buyer or whatever? Like that's absurd. I don't know about all that. I feel like
a 5-day pass available.
Yeah, there is.
To go to the whole thing. Yeah, wow.
I think me and my wife, I think it was $25 a day. So mine was 25. I got 2 days, or maybe it was $50 a day. Either I spent $100 or $200 for us to go 2 days. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it's not a bad price. Not too bad for what it is.
For a
But
whole
it's
day of
probably going to be a zoo.
entertainment.
Yeah, it's going to be a zoo, I'm sure. I look forward to it, though. It'll be good.
Yeah, I'd be curious, that 5% that you mentioned, if there really was just 5% of people doing Pokemon TCGs, I don't know, whatever, like that one little section away and the rest was sports and stuff, how busy that 5% would be if there was a market, if there was buyers, if there was people heading towards that, or if most of the people joining are for the 95%,
Yeah.
you know, the people that are set up there.
Yep.
Be interesting.
Yeah,
I'd love to go.
Yep, and I believe it is 30% larger. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 30% bigger than last year. So they have like the entire venue, I
Wow.
think, this time. That's a lot of percent. That's a lot for how big it was in the past and what it is now. Like,
Yeah,
wow,
that's
crazy.
significant growth. Are you aware of any other Pokemon hobby people that we know, any YouTubers and that kind of stuff? I know a Pikachu is in that drivable distance, right?
Pikachu's around there. I know Mertz lives around there. I don't know if they're going. I know Gem Pokemon is going, I believe. And I know a few people that are going. I know Peak, not Peeked at You, but Peak is going to be vending at the National.
That's cool.
So definitely be swinging by there, give some support. But yeah, no, it's just going to be, they're going to be grading on site. CGC is going to be grading $20 a card, which is insane. It's like 20% of what PSA is going to be grading for. So,
and they've set like an allocation to make sure they have them back before the end of it, right? They said they're going to have that $20 grade done before you leave, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
No, yeah, I'm excited for it for sure. It's going to be sick. Cannot wait.
You're gonna take some video style stuff. You're gonna get your strap on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do the strap on probably because my wife's not a big fan of it. But no, my wife is going, but I had like a strap on chest camera that the audio wasn't great, so just gonna be. I can have her hold my phone.
I don't think it was too bad.
Nice. I voiced the entire thing over last time. It was entire voiced over by me.
Oh yeah, that's probably why it didn't seem too bad.
I just revoiced it, but
that's funny.
Yeah, so my wife could actually record the video now, which would be kind of nice. Me being hands off,
yeah,
which would be cool. Same for the Collecticon. So
I wonder if you get one of those little clip-on mics or something. It might maybe like a more consistent sound or something. Filter out some of the fluff, you know.
Yep, that's definitely the play for sure. So yeah, I'll definitely be doing some type of recap of the different things going on my other channel. So
exciting. Love
it. Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to decompress from that, do a little debrief after. That's definitely going to be a fun one. What else you got going
on? The heritage auctions, they're not doing a trading card signature, but they got a video game signature popping off. There's a notebook right there that I just got in the mail. I think it's this weekend. I believe it's this weekend, Heritage Video Game Signature Auction. But it's pretty dope, man. Have you thought about buying any graded games or getting into it?
Yeah, every single one I've looked at, I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. Like every single one that I've wanted to look for, primarily things like Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Crystal, like the stuff that does sell high in the high grades. Like,
yeah,
I mean, PlayStation stuff, the PlayStation 1 games that I've looked at, that I've looked for, I haven't seen, and the ones that I have seen that are PS1, I'm like, I don't really play that game. Like it's PS1 and it's great and stuff, but I just don't have the same connection as I do to some of the other games that don't seem to be coming up. You know, my first ever console game was Crash Team Racing. Like that was the first one, and I haven't seen that come up.
Pretty expensive.
Yeah, I mean that's got to be a good one, surely.
I've seen it pop up, I think 4 times. I've wanted to buy this. Me and my sister played the shit out of that game. So
Same. Yeah. She'd get so mad at me. It was, I mean, I was obsessed with it. It was crazy. And then I felt like a grown up getting that game. Like I got a PlayStation 1. I was like, this is like a real console now. Like I'm like, it's not Game Boy. Like I'm an actual, like, I can actually play real computer games now kind of thing. And it was immense. And then Tekken, I mean, the original Grand Theft Auto, Abe's Odyssey, just, I don't know. There's a bunch of PS1 games where I'm like, I'm just not seeing them come up. A lot of those classics that I really was drawn to, and the ones that I have seen that I like have just been out of this world pricing. They've just been crazy high. So we could check on there, have a look through. I think I'd like to look on there, but I'd imagine they're probably going to sell pretty high, especially if they're a signature auction.
Did you know they remade Crash Team Racing?
Yes.
Yeah, you did? Load.
Yeah.
Nitro fueled. I wanted to play it. I didn't get to play it, but
yeah, I have a PS5 and a Switch and a 360. I got a couple of different things. I got to figure out which one I could play it on, but yeah, I could probably figure that out. I haven't had much time for gaming lately, honestly.
Did you buy all those consoles?
Mm-hmm.
So I just bought my first ever video game console at the Xbox One X or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Every other one was a gift to me from my parents.
Wow.
Or the Xbox Series. No, the Xbox One. The Xbox One I won through Pepsi with bottle cap points.
No way. I didn't even know that was a thing.
So that would have been my first game or console I would have bought with my own money because I had moved out already. Mm-hmm. But was able to amass some Pepsi points, which was pretty cool.
That's fantastic.
Got a sound bar, got like 3 games and the Xbox like all the day after release of the console, which was like $500
right out the gate. That's crazy. Wow. Oof. Yeah. I've had a few different consoles. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. Like you say, Xbox, like PlayStation, whatever it is, like it's just fun. It's escapism, right? It takes you out of reality. It gives you something to think about and focus on, and enjoyable.
So I just looked. There was like $250 for a sealed CTR ungraded Crash Team Racing. What's your price point? Like, is there, you just don't want to do it because you don't want to worry about reselling them, or you just don't know the reselling of them like you do Pokemon, or what's kind of the hesitation? Or you just don't want another speculative asset?
Totally no, I don't. I just don't think I've really thought about it after I looked, and I was a bit like, oof, like some of those like look a bit high. I haven't looked at ungraded. Like you haven't looked at sealed ungraded stuff. I haven't looked at graded stuff because I wouldn't play it. So like I like the idea of having it just ready to go kind of thing. But some of the prices, I know they've come down. I know you touched on that a couple of times, but the things I've been looking at, they've been at my price point, and I don't know if I have a price point. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe I should just allocate a budget of the hobby fund to it if I'm going to do it. I don't feel like it's a priority. I don't feel passionate about it. I want it, but I don't know if I want to dedicate a chunk to it when there's other things that I really want right now. Like I really want to do and get me really excited. Because I already owned them. I already owned those before. That's another little part of it, like it's interesting to get it because I owned it, but also like it's not something new. And I think that's a little part of why Modern's been doing so well in Pokemon. It's new. It's nothing you've ever owned before.
Yeah. Lots of demand. Lots of it. I'm pretty close to having most of the games I want. There's a few. Pokemon Sapphire is the only Pokemon game I want.
Oh, it's a good one.
The Diddy Kong Racing for N64. played the piss out of that, just like Crash Team Racing. Both of those games, I did not play any Mario Kart. Diddy Kong Racing was S tier compared to Mario Kart. I tell you what, that game was freaking goated for sure. So those are the three. CTR, yeah, and maybe Spyro, but Spyro's effing expensive too. Jesus, Spyro the Dragon.
Spyro, yep, yeah, I remember that one. Trying to think which other ones PS1 wise were big that I like got hung up on. There was a few that I was really obsessed with.
I forget.
I mean, we're talking like 25 years ago. You know, it's a long time ago now, right? What year was it? What year is it? Yeah, it's like 20-something years ago. I don't know. Long time ago. I was a young wee whippersnapper.
95. Almost 30
Yeah,
years
and
ago.
I didn't get it out of the gate. Like it took a few years till I got one. You know, saved up enough birthday money to get one. I feel like it was 98-ish that I got it. Maybe 99, something like that. It was around that kind of time frame. And oh my God, I felt like I won the lottery. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. The only other thing I wanted to mention about Heritage and Heritage Auctions, they have their first ever AMG graded items. Do you know what that is?
Music?
Yeah.
The music guys, right?
I don't know what it stands for, but it's Steve Aoki's company that does the music grading.
Aoki music grading?
That's exactly what I was just thinking. I'm like, is it that simple?
That's funny.
But yeah, their first graded items are on auction on Heritage. I believe still. I don't think they've ended yet, so I'm curious to see how those go. Usually first to market stuff like that usually does exceptionally well. Same for video games. Like we saw a Mario game sell for the N64. It was over $1 million, and that game has come down. Yikes! Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how they do, and if they blow the doors right off the place, then that'll be really interesting to see music getting played with like that. That'll be crazy.
Yeah, it's that like happen, though. You can't touch on it, like the first to market. Like there's no price point established. Like you can't check eBay sold listings. You know, I mean, is it $100? Is it $100,000? Like what is it worth? You just don't know. So I guess it's just going to be how bad do people want it and how deep are the pockets. Yes,
I really like the thought of graded music items, just in the sense like there's a few CDs I'd love to have.
Oh,
and it would be, I probably mentioned this a long time ago when we talked about when they first started grading the music this year, but it would be sick. Like in 30 years, my daughter could pick up the graded CD behind me and say, oh, wow, this was on my dad's shelf for his whole life. Like you could see it. You see the set list in the back. Now she could go open up Spotify or YouTube Music and just listen to some of the stuff that I used to listen to. But she can't do that really with the video games I have graded or the Pokemon cards I have graded. Like there's no, she like it doesn't mean that like she can't, he or she could not really sit down and maybe enjoy a little bit of it like I did, just by turning on some music and like, oh, my dad used to listen to this. That's pretty cool. This is actually pretty good. Like, you know, like it's kind of sad. They'll never be playing Killzone or NHL Hits 2002 or playing with these vintage Pokemon cards and getting that experience. It's kind of weird thinking about it that way. And then music, I think, has got a little one up on other collectibles like that. That's pretty cool.
I think what you didn't mention that you're trying to say is it's going to touch a sense. Right, it's one of your senses. You're hearing, like there's like almost like a connection you feel with music when you hear it. You either feel good or you feel sad or excited, or that's why you listen to different types of music depending on the situation, right? Like if you're at a funeral, like it's sad music. If you're getting ready to go out, you want to get excited music. If you're driving, it's country. If you're Greenie, it's Barbie music. Like it's whatever, So, I mean, it's just whatever the mood takes you. So your kids listening to that music, they're gonna feel that sense, and they're gonna picture themselves and imagine you having that same sense. Like there's gonna be an emotional connection.
Yeah.
And every time they hear that song after that, they'll think of you. I hear songs and think of people. And there's not many games that I play or many Pokemon cards I look at where I think of people. Songs are a big one for that. So I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's a really valid point. What would be...
How many times? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What was your question?
Not related to music, so go ahead.
Oh, mine is. I was going to ask, what would be if you could just buy one graded, like in like a really good grade right now? What's like the first thing that comes to mind? I know mine instantly. I knew what it was, but I'm curious what yours was.
Yeah, probably Eminem, Marshall Mathers LP, or Curtain Call, one of those earlier albums, or not an 8-track, but a graded cassette of the M&Ms would be cool. Sealed. What about you?
I'm just checking. I'm making sure I'm not crazy. Who sung this? I can't find it. I'm pretty sure it was Billy Joel. But do you remember that song? She's More Than a Woman to Me. Like it's pretty old. It's from like the 80s or something. When I was really young.
Sing it for me?
When I was really young, my parents when we were driving, we had a cassette player in the car, and they played the same cassette over and over and over. But it was like amazing music. Like it wasn't like, oh my god, parents are playing the song again. It was like little, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. There's that one song. It always reminds me of my parents. It's always a big good memory of them. So for that reason, I'd want that cassette. But for me, my own personal thing, Hybrid Theory was the first legal CD I ever owned, and I felt really grown up in music taste at that point. I owned a real CD that was bought from a store with like real money, and I listened to it and I was like, whoa, like these guys are like, really, this is an adult CD. This is like a grown up CD. And I was a kid. And so, Linkin Park, they released that album, massive. Everyone listened to it. It's huge. I played that thing over and over and over. I was obsessed with it. So for me, it would probably be that on CD graded. They're the two that probably come to mind for different reasons. But it's cool concept because, like you say, like there's always going to be some kind of emotional connection to stuff, and there's always new music coming out. So that's another thing too. Like it's something that could keep going. Music grading could keep moving along, just like PSA and CGC doing cards.
Music's not going anywhere. Yeah.
Every single week, there's new singles, albums, whatever being released. It's a cool thought. I wonder if like a record label or anything would ever get involved in that kind of stuff and like promote them being graded or something. I don't know, like for people to buy them physically, because like, can you even buy music physically anymore? I don't know.
Yeah,
I know there's vinyl, but like I haven't
CDs.
Looked. I'm sure there is. Like there could be a way of like dipping back into like another part of the sales market for them, getting their fingers in another pie.
They even sell cassettes for some new albums. Like
really,
they're digging. Yeah, you can get. Yep.
Wow.
They're making vinyl, cassette, CDs for a lot of new music dropping.
Yeah, I wish I'd kept my cassette and CD Walkman players. Like they were cool. Is that what you had in America? Was it Walkman?
Yeah, I think that was one of the brands. I just had a CD player. That's what I called it.
Yeah, I don't know if it wasn't a Walkman. I probably had Walmart, Smallmart brand or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I remember I'd have it in my jacket pocket. I'd squeeze it in as hard as I could because it didn't really fit. And every time I took a step with my right leg, it would skip. Just a tiny little skip.
I
Every time I
remember.
took a step, oh my God, it was
Had the
so annoying.
giant
But
zip short pockets. The boy slipped in there just right. It was
oh,
clean.
the kids
Yep.
don't know. They don't know how easy they've got it. They don't know how easy.
I'm about to buy this boy. $18.
Do it.
It's a Sony. It's the same one I had. That's hilarious.
The player,
Yep, CD player.
cheap. That's cheap as chips.
Buy it now.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's
cheap.
cool. That's cool.
Do you still have your CDs?
Definitely have a few. Yeah,
I do. I have all of them in a binder.
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly everyone. They just threw out the freaking. That's why they might be the grading might be interesting for some of the old stuff because everybody did that with CDs for sure.
Yeah, no one.
It was the play.
You bought it to listen to it. I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's like all collectibles. They're not sold to be collectibles. They just turn into it because there's demand. Not a lot of them out there.
What you been grading?
What?
What you been grading? What you been sending in?
Crossover, reholder, bulk submission, all through CGC. I still haven't submitted these PSA ones. No reason. I just know I'm not going to get them back before CollectCon anyway, so I'm not even not in a big rush. And it's more. These aren't really things I'd want to sell anyways. There's a lot more Yu-Gi-Oh in here than anything, so
no time.
Not in a big rush. And those might end up be moving over to CGC now. We'll see what happens here. But yeah, if you want to talk about kind of some of the timelines going on, because I just talked a whole bunch about some of the cons and the heritage stuff.
Yeah, I'm asking a lot of questions tonight. Sorry.
No,
so I know that you sent crossovers in mid-July and not the crossover has not been touched yet, right?
The crossover sent on 7/17. It was received. So in their system, it said received. In their pizza tracker, it said received on 7/17. That one
not graded, right?
Is to be complete. Yeah, it's not finished. It's in process though.
And then you sent one a couple of days later that was a reholder, and that started shipping today back.
Yep.
So a week basically turnaround, probably ish. Obviously it got shipping there and back or whatever, but around a week-ish. And then you sent your bulk submission of raw cards, and that delivered the same day as the reholder and hasn't even been entered as received.
Yep.
All over
that
the
one's
place.
been sitting 5 days. So they definitely opened up Pandora's box by doing the price decrease, the new slabs, and the reholder service all at the same time. They definitely people are putting in mother effing T this month at CGC cards for sure.
And we talked about that, right? Like, that was crazy to do it all at the exact same time. It feels a little like overboard for sure.
Yeah, they probably, I guess, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall watching that conversation. They're like, well, F it, dude. We might as well just bite the bullet and get it over with sooner than later. So instead of just having 3 different giant waves come in, let's just do it now. Let's take the bull by the horns.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's got people talking because there's people in every direction sending stuff. So what's really going to make or break it is what comes of it. And, I sent reholders literally the same week as you. I think they were received late last week, and they've been entered. Nothing done with it. Yeah, not graders sent back or anything. So we'll see if sending them in a few days after yours, mine were a little bit later than yours, if that makes any difference. Like that week that, maybe a lot of people sent stuff in, maybe it's not. I don't know. Like it's still very new. It's still very like early to talk about times and stuff. I think they gave the estimate of like 30 days, 30 business days, I think you said. So it was like 6 weeks turnaround, and you're nowhere near that. So hopefully that was just like preemptively, if we get smashed kind of thing, we've got something to fall back on point to. Hopefully they're going to exceed that. Dan, Catchable Collectibles, had some pretty good luck. I know you watched the video also. I think you mentioned it was a little over 100 cards that he submitted of some crazy artwork, and he had only 2 not hit a 10. I think I'm right. That seems extreme. Also seems a little bit probably more realistic. With them being modern Japanese, you would expect most that are pack fresh to be a 10. But that is very high percentage rate, in single digit percentage rates of sub 10 grading.
Yeah, that's crazy though.
Did they change it? Because I don't feel like, I know it's Gem Mint now, for the 10, but was it sub 9.5 that was just a couple of percent, a few percent of that kind of stuff before? I don't think so. I'm not convinced. So it feels, very small. In the words that it says himself, very small anecdotal data set right there. It's nothing too strong that we can point to. We haven't looked at the registry. We haven't looked at the pop report. We don't know what people are doing and where the numbers are at with that stuff. We don't know how many people are sending them in and where those grades are falling back. But the couple that we've seen so far looks very heavy on the 10 rate, which I think there's some good to that. I don't want it to be too many 10s. I don't know. There's got to be some kind of, you need a chase almost, right? You need a little bit of like chase, but if it's a 10, it should be a 10. And I think that's part of why people send to PSA. The grades feel a bit more realistic. So what do you think?
That was a lot.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think the 10s coming from CGC are all-time high compared to where we started. I remember watching, I forget the YouTuber's name, all he graded was Japanese. When CGC first came out, I watched. That was something I searched for. I looked up CGC grading returns. I wanted to see if people were doing good, getting good grades. Took them almost 1,000 modern Japanese Pokemon cards to get a 10. Almost an effing 1,000 modern Japanese cards to get one pristine 10.
What a flip. What a 180.
100 and whatever it was, 106 out of 108, Dan was able to do. Like, that's right where PSA is. If all those cards got submitted into PSA, it would have been about the same, if not 100%, for ultra modern Japanese cards getting graded. So, love to see it. I want to, like, the sweet spot for me for CGC is giving out just as many 10s as PSA. Perfect. Can't do any better. Thank you. I will collect $200 when I pass go. That's what I want. I want to be able to collect 10s. I want to be able to get 10 Zapdos cards in the freaking premium slab, the premium label. I want to be able to do it. So right now I will open up to anybody, because I've seen some crazy effing sales for some of these CGC 10s selling pretty cheap. I have PSA 10s of most Zapdos cards. If you want to sell me the CGC 10 for a third of the PSA 10 price, I will happily do it. That would be amazing, because they're pretty cheap right now. I've seen a bunch of auctions going like that. So hit me up. Hit me up.
You know, you know what I am. I'm a little worried about is people. I don't want to like build a stigma or something, but like people thinking like, okay, 10s are easier to get now, right? 10, like there's more 10s coming out because they are grading a little bit more realistically.
Yep.
But then submitting stuff and thinking, oh, it's a 10. It like really isn't a 10, and they're expecting a 10 because CGC is grading easier now. Like, and really and getting 9s. Like, I feel like that might skew the numbers a little bit if people get a bit too confident thinking all my stuff's going to get 10s. I've seen people do that with PSA. They'll submit loads of stuff to PSA, like, oh, this is all 10s, it's all clear, crystal clear, it's perfect centering, no white spots, no dents, that kind of stuff. And I mean, you had mostly realistic grades are 8s and 9s. Like I've seen people do it and they're getting like 5s and 6s and stuff, like dents or whatever. I mean, I don't know, like 7s, like you must be able to see a 7. Like there's got to be something wrong with it when you're doing quite a few. And I've seen a lot of people do that stuff. I just hope people aren't going to go into it overconfident that now there's going to be 10s after watching Dan's video. Hey, Dan did it. I can do it. I can just pull packs out of, get a nice card of that, submit it, get a 10. Ain't going to happen. Like it needs to be 10 quality to get a 10. It needs to be gem mint. Maybe a tiny white spot, maybe slightly off center or something. It needs to be clean. It needs to be a good, strong card to get that 10. I'm sure. I'm very confident that's still in place, which, like say, most modern Japanese, they're pretty clean. Like they're pretty good quality. So that it makes sense. I don't think English is going to have the same.
Yeah.
I don't think 108 English cards getting submitted would have got 106 cents at all.
No. 100% no. Yeah, English print quality compared to Japanese is complete dog shit. So
we've got to be
contest.
We've got to be careful. Like don't get too cocky with it because it still needs to be 10 quality that you're submitting. What are you thinking on pricing? I know that you just kind of touched on it. There's some stuff going a bit lower. Seems a bit cheaper than PSA. Similar kind of grade, we're looking at gem mints, but still like a bit of a price difference there.
Yeah. Just to paint a picture for everybody, like everyone since the inception of me getting into the hobby, there's been good PSA 10s and bad PSA 10s. And my thought exactly, and you've done it, you've crossed CGC 9.5s into PSA 10s, and a lot of people have. They are nothing different. The new 10s are either some of them are good PSA 10s, some of them are not good PSA 10s.
Yep.
They're all effing gem mint cards. Of course, you're going to find some, like I said, that aren't amazing. And then you're going to have the people that'll be like, Jesus, could you believe this card? It's got 3 white nicks on it. How is this a 10? CGC is smoking crack cocaine. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So that stuff's insane to me. So them being a 10 gem mint card, seriously undervalued in the sense, like watching some of these vintage cards selling. A couple Lugias sold CGC 10 gem mints. One was 17 grand. The other was like 14 grand. I want to say the cheapest PSA 10 was like $50,000 or $60,000 so far. I think the biggest difference we're going to see is that in the vintage category, like the people that are collecting PSA 10 first ed Lugias are doing it because of the stonks around a PSA 10 Lugia or their PSA 10 set collectors or something along those sorts. The number of PSA 10 set collectors versus CGC 10 set collectors is like 1,000,000 to 1, literally, because nobody until this moment, nobody was CGC 10 set collecting. So that's something that's going to develop over time. So right now in today's market, CGC 10s are selling for a third of PSA 10 gem mint prices. There's a good chance that those are insanely cheap prices compared to in 3 years from now where we'll be at. But I feel like the modern stuff, I'll be really interested to see. I feel like modern CGC 10 gem mints will be pretty close to PSA 10 gem mints, I want to say, just because of I feel like more people are collecting CGCs in modern slabs. I don't like in modern cards. I feel like that's more of a thing than vintage. Correct me if you see otherwise, but I think the CGC 10s are undervalued for the way they sit. This was my spicy topic last week, but I've been chomping at the bit to talk about it. Mentioned it a little bit in my live stream during PWCC, but it is evidently clear that there is still a huge gap. It's sitting somewhere between PSA 9 and PSA 10 currently, but there's a lot of stuff that is like a third or 2/3 of a PSA 10. And when you're talking a third of a $60,000 card, that's crazy cheap. That's crazy cheap.
Yeah, especially when there's potential for, just grab it, crack it out, and resub it with the other person. Like there has to be some area where like it starts to join a little bit when you're talking about similar grade points and qualities of cards. Like there has to be a little bit of correlation, I guess, at some point. I just don't think that scale started tipping back quite far enough yet. Something interesting that I looked at this week, I don't think I realized how close CGC scales, grading scales, were with SGCs.
Yeah, it's line for line.
So I didn't know that SGC had a gold label. They had like a perfect 10 label. I just thought it was a 10. I've probably seen it at some point. I probably knew it, but it hadn't just stuck. But when I saw a gold label the other day, and I was like, "What is that?" I've just seen so few.
Yeah,
I can't help but feel when I saw that at that moment. I reached out to my friend Bobbles. Hopefully he's listening, and he said he's a group submitter for them. He actually submits for them, and he submits quite a few every month for people. And he said he's had very low numbers of those perfect. I forget what the name is. The gold label, top the creme de la creme, the top of the heap ones. It says there are very few of them, and I thought that was like really interesting because we had very few perfects with CGC, but there had been some pristines. Like I had seen recently way more pristines than previously. In the previous, like last year, the year before. This year, way more pristines. I don't know if we're going to see too many. I don't know if that's going to be a bit more of a prestigious, pristine label. Like maybe go back to their roots a little bit with the new 10 label that they're knocking out. I'm intrigued. So even if we get more gem mints,
I
don't know. I think it could be a good thing if that happened, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's cool to think about. And that was interesting for any of you that haven't graded or bought or looked at SGC slabs. I just bought my first one recently. I think I showed it in a mail day, but pretty cool slab, huge, crazy, quite a slab indeed. But they're doing some pretty cool stuff too, and they seem to be growing a little bit, somewhat with their marketing and the kind of things that they run specials for and stuff. So you might get some good pricing in there. Yeah, it was interesting.
I wanted to talk on this thing real quick. I was just looking up PSA crossovers.
Yeah.
So crossing over like CGC to PSA. So before now, it would be idiotic to pretty much cross over your pristine or perfect 10s into CGC or into PSA most of the time. There's some cases where it might be worth it, but now it's pretty interesting in the sense that you took all of these 9.5s, they're now reholdered into 10s, and it shows gem mint, and it's in a slab, so it's a little bit tougher to identify the errors with the cards. It probably is a play if you're just in it for the money to cross over all your or reholder to your 10s for CGC, and then just send that stack of slabs over to PSA, get them converted, see if they will. I'm sure they will, a stack of them. maybe not 100% throughput, but I feel like your odds just it going from a 9.5 to a 10 on the freaking slab itself would increase it, because there's definitely something in the grader. They look at it, oh, a 9.5, this ain't a PSA 10. Get out of here. That's why we always crack them and submit them, obviously, because usually the crossovers are very unsuccessful. When you're crossing like a 9.5 to a min grade 10, it ain't going to happen. So that could open the door for some pretty hefty price increases on your slabs if you do some crossovers like that. I was just thinking about it. Definitely going to be in my cards here. Pun intended.
Yeah, it was cool hearing Nat talk also with PK. Shout out PK. Thank you for the mention in your superhero video. Human Torch and the Thing. That was cool. That was cool watching that.
Size 14 and a half ring. I don't F around.
I don't even know what mine is.
Probably
Pencil
like
size, I guess. Yeah, I think Nat mentioned it was like a slab improvement. He was talking about like UV and thickness and strength and that kind of stuff, like just some general improvements to some of the slabs that they were doing at PSA. I can't say it would be a bad thing. Like, I feel like it's only going to be a good thing. They're not the best, most fantastic slabs, honestly. So that'd be interesting. But I did hear some people saying that like there may be some concerns with cracking them and make it a bit trickier, a little bit more dangerous and risky. So I'm intrigued to see some people get some of those new ones. They said, I heard a couple of people say that they could just feel like it just felt different. It felt a little bit like heavier and stuff.
Yeah, they said 20%, 20 or 30% heavier.
Something like that, yeah.
And only Sports has done it so far, right? I believe All Sports has done it. I don't believe Pokemon has yet.
I feel like it was like a section of Sports too. It was like just modern or just set or something. There was something when I looked into it further. I spoke with a couple of people. They mentioned something. I forget the details, but like not everyone is getting them, and I don't think every slab that you receive back even has it. I think it's like a little bit randomized, but yeah. I'm intrigued to see what happens with that if that becomes widespread, because he said it was more expensive. Maybe it's for the fraud, for the fakes or something. Like, there's got to be a pretty significant difference to change 1 million slabs to a more expensive slab. Like the return on investment, the ROI on that, you got to fight for that. Like, there's got to be something very big, like to be the reason for it, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. No,
like maybe there's something we're not aware of.
There's tons of stuff we're not aware of.
Too much.
Tons. Yeah. Wanted to talk a little bit about some modern things going on. I shout out to Cardinal Gaming. Love watching some of his videos. And if anybody's looking for just content around an LGS, he owns a couple game stores in Louisville, Kentucky. And he talks about allocation numbers, different things, different TCGs he's buying into, and it's looking a little dark right now. He had mentioned Lorcana, and Lorcana is the up-and-coming Disney TCG, starting off in Gen Con here with some tournament play, but it's not yet even in stores. So
yeah,
he had made the announcement, I believe it was 6 booster boxes he was allocated of the game. 6 boxes. Like he had mentioned, you might as well just hold on to it, wait until you get more, because if every LGS in America only gets 6, it ain't enough.
I don't think he's getting the 6 anymore. I think he followed up. I think he followed up and said that they changed their mind and they're shifting it to stores that are like Lorcana play centers or whatever. Like, there was a phrase. I don't think he's even getting the 6 anymore. I'm sure you're correct, is in the comments, but he did mention that there was a change and that they changed allocations based on whether people were going to host play. I don't think it's hosting Lorcana play, so I think that might be part of it. But he also did the video on Obsidian Flames, and I think I commented today. I think it was today that I watched it earlier, and it made me feel a little sad. Like I felt a little like heavy hearted, I guess, for him. Like I could see it's just so real. Like if you guys aren't subscribed, I'm sure 99% of you are, but if there's one of you out there that aren't subscribed to him, you've got to. Like he is the man that like is trading card games. Like he sells it, he's in it, he hosts game tournaments, he talks with customers, he talks with sellers, he talks with YouTubers. Like he's the man in this hobby. Like he is the epitome of this hobby. Like just at so many different levels, and he's an awesome dude. So that helps too. But yeah, he made that video and I had like goosebumps. Like I had like a physical reaction to hearing him talk about it, and like just prices being a bit lower and like people selling boxes like at a loss and like trying to break even and stuff. The market's just changed so much and gone back, so similarly in some areas to what it was before. There's a lot of areas that are excelling, which is even weirder. But for him, like I think things are starting to feel a bit more like normal, a little less hypey, a little less crazy. But that was almost ominous. Like I don't know what word to describe it, but like a bit of an ominous feeling of what's coming. Like what does 2023 like mean for TCGs? For Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and some of this other stuff. Super interesting to hear. I hope he carries on following up with more videos. Because he is good at it, and I love that he's so honest and raw about it. I think that's something that I really respect him for a lot. But yeah, those box prices, do you buy? Like, I feel like you never really know when the low is. You don't know when the crash is. You don't know when the best time is. But like if prices are below what they're paying at distribution, I feel like that should be cheap to buy and hold on to or do something with. Like I feel like we could get some plays there if you want to look some money, or try and open packs and get the cards that you want, or keep sealed for your collection, whatever it is. I feel like there's going to be some opportunity for purchasing for whatever reason in the next few months, going into the tail end of the year. Even with Little Corner, like I don't know what prices are going to like with them, right? Like, is that the same? Like, what are you thinking with that stuff? Are you thinking about buying anything? Like, are you nervous at all about what these prices look like and stuff on sealed? Like, it's got to trickle into slabs at some point.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about it. I don't know. It seems to be it's way like there's different markets. Crazy. You got all the Japanese stuff. You got the Japanese seal, then you got graded cards, and you have American sealed. They all operate completely different. It's so weird. Then you got trophy cards, completely a whole nother freaking sector. I don't know. It's the modern booster boxes. I've always been a guy like I'll identify a hot set and I'll go in on it, even if it is slightly above whatever the distribution price. I'll buy in if I know it's a hot set. Like for me, that was Evolving Skies. I pegged that when I'm like, I'm buying a bunch of this. That was the next set was Lost Origin for me. And then the next set now is Pokemon 151, which I in this time around I bought it in Japanese instead of waiting for English because I absolutely hate the English print quality. It literally that was the reason I went away from the English is like the print quality is such dog bleep. If I want to open it, then I got a chance to get some effing 10's. Whereas if I open Lost Origin, there's a damn good chance I have like 0 gradable cards coming out of that box. So that feels bad for me. So
literally, yeah.
I fully understand and see why some of these sets, like the new one, Obsidian Flames, is already it's dead compared to the 151 set that's coming out in 2 months. Like people are gonna sell that stuff as fast as they can to get their money back to get as much as they can of the 151 set because that's going to be their moneymaker this year. So I do agree in the sense that some of these boxes, they are below distribution sale price. Like there's an opportunity there for you to go pick some stuff up for a pretty good value instead of the 150 or whatever off PokemonCenter.com. That thing is atrocious right now. So I would definitely stick away from that website for a little while because these booster box prices are definitely pretty realistic right now, and it's nice. Lorcana, probably not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. If I do, it's just to get a box to open with the kids maybe, but I'd rather maybe just go get a Pixar box or a Disney 100 box or something like that. So that's probably what I was thinking. What's up? I can't see nothing. Shirt?
Yeah.
Oh, my wife made her shirt for the National.
Feel it though. It's like pop vinyl.
That's awesome. No way.
Yeah, it's like a 3D vinyl on there. That's pretty cool. You
That
have
looks
white
so-
in that, you said?
No.
That looks so classy.
No.
That's pretty clean. Yeah, there's no logo or anything. It's just the name.
Ooh.
Love that.
Yeah, she's pretty handy.
I'm gonna try the black on black.
All right.
Check out merch store below.
That's the wife homemade merch there. So that ain't even on the store. That's the custom.
Link to eBay.
Yeah. She's got a Cricut that does all the cutting of the vinyl and everything like that. And we got a heat press downstairs. So she's pretty awesome. She made me my Zapdos and Diglett cup.
That's too cool.
Haven't shown this on here yet, but
That's crazy.
be jealous. You need to get you one like that.
Love it. Yeah, I can't think of much else to go over this week. I think it's going to be interesting seeing some of these cards coming back. We're at the cusp of it now. We've got some stuff rolling back. You've got yours on the way back, from CGC. How's that going to look with gem rate data? How's July going to look with some of that stuff? Super interested to see that when we get into the August episodes and start looking at that month. Who knows? We'll see. But thanks everyone. Yeah, don't forget Spicy Topic. Don't forget to thumbs up on the Spicy Topic. We love you guys getting commented. We talk about it every week, and we love it every week. It's always fun. And we'll see you guys on the flip side. Have an awesome week. Thank you.
Peace. Hit that like button on the way out.